So you want to wake up early, do a quick workout, eat a healthy breakfast, maybe even meditate. But instead, you hit snooze 14 times, stumble through your day on nothing but caffeine, and go to bed thinking, great, another day wasted. Trust me, I've been there. But here's the thing, you're not lazy. Because waking up early isn't about willpower. It's about having a simple system that outsmarts your pillow-loving brain. Before you know it, you'll be up before the sun, calm, focused, and in full control, building the life you've always wanted while everyone else is fast asleep. Now, to actually make this happen, we first need to talk about one of humanity's biggest enemies, the alarm clock. Every morning, this little device blasts its unholy siren, ruthlessly throwing us into a foggy, half-conscious limbo. Contrary to what you might think, that miserable, zombie-like state isn't necessarily because you're not a morning person. It's largely because of something called sleep inertia. Basically, think of your brain as a deep-sea diver. Down in the ocean depths, everything is slow, calm, and heavy. That's your brain in deep sleep. But when the alarm yanks you awake, it's like shooting straight to the surface. It's way too fast. And the diver, your brain, is left feeling confused, disoriented, and fatigued. That's why waking up early can feel brutal, because your brain is scrambling to catch up to the sudden switch into wake mode. The solution then isn't to keep waging war against your alarm, but to give your brain time to boot up gradually. But here's a part most people miss. That smooth transition doesn't start in the morning. It starts the night before. You see, your body actually has its own internal clock, a 24-hour cycle that controls when you feel alert or tired. If your internal clock is set to make you feel tired at midnight, but you go to bed at 9 in the hopes of waking up early, you'll just end up lying there wide awake. And when you do eventually fall asleep, you probably wouldn't have had enough rest by the time that 5 a.m. alarm goes off, a strong recipe for brutal sleep inertia. So what you need to do is simple. Reset your internal clock so that your body naturally winds down earlier. That way, you also start waking up earlier, and early mornings finally stop feeling like an impossible dream. So how do you actually reset your internal clock? Let's start with something easy. At least an hour before you plan to sleep, make your environment darker. Specifically, turn off the overhead LEDs and switch to a lamp with a warm bulb, ideally something amber or even red. And this isn't just about aesthetics or vibes. These colors are great for winding down because they barely interfere with melatonin, the hormone responsible for making you sleepy. Blue light, on the other hand, is melatonin's kryptonite. It suppresses melatonin and tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. And unfortunately, blue light is exactly what's blasting from your phone, laptop, and TV. So if you want to protect your melatonin and reset your internal clock, you need to avoid those screens. And look, I get it. You've had a long day, and scrolling your way through the rest of the evening feels like the perfect way to shut your brain off. But I promise, stopping heavy screen use at least an hour before bed is truly a game changer. If you absolutely need to use a device, maybe you're watching a YouTube video about how to wake up early, then at least switch the display to night mode. But try swapping screens for something else entirely, like reading a physical book or listening to your favorite podcast. Do this consistently at the same time every night. Within a week or two, falling asleep earlier, and therefore waking up earlier, will feel much easier. But waking up early is one thing. Waking up early and actually feeling good is something completely different. Because even with a full night's sleep and a reset internal clock, you're still going to wake up with a bit of sleep inertia. Not the brutal version that happens when you're forced out of deep sleep, just the mild grogginess that naturally comes after waking. There are certain things that can help your brain push through into full alertness, like a splash of cold water or an upbeat song. But there's one thing that's more powerful than both of those combined, and that's where melatonin's counterpart, cortisol, comes in. The hormone that makes you feel alert, cortisol naturally peaks shortly after you wake up in what's called the cortisol awakening response. Your job is simple. Amplify it so your sleep inertia fades much quicker. And the best way to do that? Get some light into your eyes. Opening the curtains is better than nothing, but ideally, step outside as soon as possible after waking up. Even just 5 to 10 minutes of natural sunlight can significantly cut down lingering melatonin and amplify that cortisol response. That doesn't just clear grogginess faster, it also sends a clear message to your internal clock. This is when we wake up from now on. Now, I get it. Not everyone can step outside to get sunlight first thing in the morning. For example, maybe it's pitch black during the winter months where you live. In that case, a sunrise alarm clock is a solid alternative. Instead of blasting you awake like a normal alarm, a sunrise alarm clock slowly fills your room with light 30 to 90 minutes before it goes off. That gradual light exposure can help your body start the wake-up process earlier and gently nudge your brain from deeper sleep stages into lighter ones, so by the time the alarm rings, you'll likely wake up feeling more alert. At this point, you've got the fundamental tools to wake up early and actually feel good doing it. But the truth is, waking up early only matters if you use those morning hours intentionally. If you don't, you miss out on the most important part of your day, the one window where your mind is clear, distractions are zero, and real change is possible. Thankfully, you don't need some intense, hyper-optimized routine to make those hours count. For thousands of years, people across cultures have often used early mornings for the same three things, not because it was trendy, but because it worked. First, physical movement. This doesn't mean running a marathon or crushing a 2-hour gym session. Even 15 to 20 minutes of light movement, a walk, some stretching, a few push-ups, can genuinely change how your whole day feels. And if you can do it outside, even better. You're stacking the benefits by getting that morning light exposure we talked about, which reinforces your internal clock and keeps that early schedule locked in. Number 2, mindfulness. This might sound intimidating, but don't worry. You don't need to do anything spiritual or complicated. Mindfulness in the morning is simply giving your brain a calm, intentional launch instead of letting the chaos of the world dictate your emotions. You see, when most people wake up, they immediately grab their phones and start reacting to all the noise. Mindfulness is the opposite. It's choosing, for just a few minutes, to check in with yourself first. And this can be incredibly simple. Dumping your thoughts in a journal, planning your day, or just sitting quietly with your coffee for a couple of minutes. By giving your mind even a brief moment of stillness, you start the day with clarity, choosing how you want to show up for the day before it even begins. And that clarity sets you up perfectly for number 3, focused work. After a full night's sleep, your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, is recharged and ready for complex problem solving and creative thinking. It's the perfect opportunity to make real progress on the things that actually move your life forward, before emails, notifications, and other people's priorities hijack your attention. Focused work can take many forms: writing, studying, coding, anything important to you that demands maximum brain power. But remember, you don't need to nail all 3 every single morning. Life happens, and there are going to be mornings where you're just not feeling it. In that case, just focus on one small win, something that nudges your day in the right direction. Want to get in shape? Take a 10-minute walk. Want to start a new side hustle? Take that first step. The goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. When you stack those small wins day after day, they compound into real, noticeable progress. And one day, you'll look back and see just how far you've come. That's where the true power of waking up early lies. The chance to move closer to your aspirations and become a better version of yourself, all before the day even begins. So experiment with it, stick with what works, and give yourself grace on the days you fall short. Do that consistently, and everything else follows. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.